Now the next thing that I want to go on to is regarding our guided meditation last night. I said that if you had any questions, you could ask them tomorrow. So now is the time. If you have any questions, please come up to ask them about last night's meditation. If not, then we will proceed according to our timetable.
I just have one question, because I was trying to calm down myself, and I was able to calm down so much so that I lost my whole body, and then my bottom is only the whole mass of earth and heat. And whereas from my shoulder and my hands a bit up is all air, a lot of air, vibration, basically tiny little vibration. So I was noting that for quite a long time, just see the vibration and all that.
When was that? Was that after?
That was before, much before you guided us into looking into the head hair. So when the minute you mentioned you want to guide us with the head hair, the image of the head hair appears quite sharply. I can see the head hair. Then you ask we all to locate the head portion and remove the head hair. I wasn't able for a long time. I was trying to figure out this head hair image, where to remove from my body. And it take a long time for me to sort of cool down the vibration and to locate finally the upper part, but not quite sure the skull. And finally, I have to kind of switch and a different set of meditation. I have to disconnect that. Then, I can locate now my skull, my head part, the body image come up. So I remove. So one by one I remove. That time, at the initial stage, is like not removing from my body. It's like I'm seeing something being removed. But after removing a few items, by the time I think skin and then the flesh, so I was already a bit problem, like in great suffering already.
Why?
I don't know. It's just something is already wrong. I don't know how to describe. I can feel that sensation. What is that? Is wrong. So by the time you mentioned about the air tract and the lungs, I feel suffering and suffocated, and I cannot continue. But anyway, I note that sensation quite vigorously. It's like I feel the whole mass, because from the air I locate into my body. Then subsequently, the whole mass is already wrong. Then, well, anyway, I continue with the suffering until even before the final bones, most part of my organs are removed. I feel so light. So I'm already floating somewhere with the skeleton, that part. Then when you say you drop it on the floor, I try very hard. I cannot drop because the force is so strong. I'm already, without organs, I'm so light. So I don't know. Then I have to switch to another set. I drop that skeleton thing. Then, okay, afresh. Now skeleton is on the floor. So I can't figure out why like that. Yeah, that's my question.
That's just the nature of the mind. Yeah. So you actually have to play around with it and see how it works on you, because different people will react differently, to similar instructions. Right? So the most important thing is remember to look at the cause. Why? Remember the other day I was reading this sutta regarding Bhante Anuruddha. He had some problems during his meditation, and he asked the Buddha. And then the Buddha, and he said he could not penetrate the nimitta. And nimitta here means the cause, why his light disappeared and his vision of the forms disappeared. So then the Buddha said that, well, even when the Buddha was still a bodhisattva, he was not yet enlightened, he encountered similar problems. Yeah, and he shared his problems, and you could see that there's a whole lot of hindrances, not just the 5, in many different levels and varieties of hindrances that caused him to lose the light and to lose his vision of the forms. So he kept on asking. Every time that happened, he asked, what is the cause? Why? Why is it happened? So you have to look at it yourself and figure it out yourself, right? I can't help you. What I think you're on the right track, because you try to figure out how to handle it. Okay, so that's the most important thing, to always question, look into the cause of why things happen, because there's no one there doing anything. It's just causes and conditions, conditioning causes and conditions, right? So if you look into causes and conditions, then you might be able to manipulate the causes and conditions. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. Okay, anyone else? Yes, please. No. Oh, yeah. Come.
I just have a bit confused about the self. Is it the self? We look at it as a form, or we look at it as a consciousness? Because as we discussed with friends, is it like when Bhante say all the bones are there, we are empty, but I still feel the consciousness there. I still haven't let go of myself. I still feel that. I still have the consciousness. So the self, it means the form or the consciousness?
It means everything. The form and the consciousness. Yeah, but then that is only for form. You to dissociate yourself from the form. But then the consciousness is still there. So that one is another step. Then you have to look at the consciousness itself as not me, as not mine, and not myself. Okay? But since you were just... actually that comes under Chittanupassana and Dhammanupassana. Right? Anyone else? Yes.
Bhante, I find the exercise, last night's exercise, is probably good for people who can visualize very well. For me, I'm not very good at visualization. So I have challenges, I would say problem, just visualizing those things. So what I did was I just put in the thought. Yeah, okay, removing the hair, this is, but it's just a thought. There's no vision.
No vision.
Yeah. Then at a certain point, there was some resistance in the mind, because I personally don't like all the bloody and gory stuff. Yeah, so I checked the mind, there was some resistance. But then after that, continued with just thinking, putting the thoughts, removing that. But there wasn't much of that dramatic events. Which also reminds me of something else. This is from Ajahn Keng. It also ties in what the sisters mentioned. Because when we imagine the internal organs, it can be quite gory. One advice which Ajahn Keng mentioned was he had some challenges at one point in time. So his teacher asked him to visualize chopping off the different parts of the body. So imagine perception only. After all, it's the same as what the sutta says. Body is not mine. It's anatta. So if they chop, so parts and parts of the body, because then finally the head gets chopped off. So funny, what is that? I think there, right? Might be right. So maybe that is less gory.
Okay. Yes.
So for those, back to my question, for those who are not good at visualization, how?
Don't do, lo.
Don't do.
Don't do.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Do Chittana. Thanks.
Yeah. It's because the Buddha taught so many different techniques, and you just have to select whichever one that suits you, your character, your aptitude, right? So you don't have to do everything. Okay, anyone else? Yes, please.
Bhante, yesterday we contemplate on the body, but I feel like we didn't contemplate on the water elements like the bile, urine, sweat, all this. So we didn't contemplate on that.
We didn't.
First question. The second question is, when we contemplate on the body parts being removed, after it's heaped in front of us, can we see it as an earth element and just disintegrate into earth element?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
That's right. You can actually carry it, like I said yesterday, carry it further, like I said yesterday, according to the Thai forest tradition. They actually manipulate that image to make it disintegrate into the elements. You can also do that, but I did not guide you yesterday. Yesterday was more on transiting from the 31 parts of the body to the 9 corpses, reflecting on the imminence of death, that you will also become like that one day, and then after that to remove everything and to see emptiness, and then come back to the body to do the elements by experiential perception, right? Rather than perceptual experience. That one, the Thai forest traditions way of analyzing the elements are more perceptual in nature rather than experiential. But I'm not saying it's not valid. It's also valid. You can also try that if you want to. Okay, anyone else? Yes, please.
Bhante, I have a question regarding the contemplation of the four elements. Whether it is something which is discrete and real, or whether it's just something conceptual. The reason I ask that is because during the time of the Buddha, the thoughts then is that when we break things down to its smallest elements, it consists of those four elements. Similarly, in Western philosophy, there is a Greek philosopher that comes up with the same theory. Then the scientific thoughts research evolves, and we know there are atoms and so on, and until where we are now. So, having known the scientific side, as well as trying to practice, do I treat that as something conceptual, as in the mind feels it and sees it as the four elements, or do I try to imagine it is really the four elements that form up the basic parts of the body?
Don't quite understand your question. To talk of it in terms of the earth element, fire element, water element, and so forth. That is conceptual in nature. But to experience hardness, softness, heat, and so forth, that's experiential. When you experience hardness, softness, heat, vibration, and all that, and if you don't conceptualize it into, okay, this is earth, this is fire, this is water, this is wind, then it is experiential, it's non-conceptual.
Okay.
You understand what I mean?
Yes. So the four elements basically is just the way the mind can feel, can see things, but not the actual reality.
Yeah, the actual reality is the experience, but then how do you communicate that experience to somebody else? You experience it yourself, but how am I going to explain it to somebody else unless we use a concept? Right. So the concept of earth, fire, wind, and what is that? Air is earth, water, fire, and wind is very basic and fundamental to all cultures. Even we Chinese have it, right? So the Greeks have it, the Indians have it, and I think that many other cultures also have it because it's so obvious. These four great elements are so obvious, but it's just a concept that is used to explain and experience. Okay. Having said what I said just now to Brother Lee, I also mentioned earlier that it is also quite all right to use concepts and to look at the elements and reduce them to, in terms of anicca, dukkha, anatta, to disintegrate into nothingness. This is what the Thai tradition, this is the method of the Thai tradition, and this is also supported in the, this can also have support from the suttas, like we saw yesterday, when I showed you the slide on the Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, where the Buddha actually defined the four elements, or rather, two of the four elements according to the 31 parts of the body, right? Not, and then he said, whatever element that is internal or external, all should be viewed as not me, not mine, not me, not myself, according to what has occurred with the right wisdom, right, with right panya. Now, the most important thing is not whether it's a concept or it's an ultimate reality, an experiential reality. The most important thing is to orientate your mind to see things in terms of anicca, dukkha, anatta. Because when we see things through that filter, then it will help us to ease our suffering and eventually be liberated from them. Now, that's the most important thing. Okay. All right, one last question before we move on.
Since Bante says meditation is quite flexible, my question is, since I'm interested in both meditation and qigong, so how do I incorporate the two in my meditation practice? Because in qigong, when you sit down and it's very apparent, you can feel the electricity moving in the body, circulating, and there is, I suppose, the fire and the wind element because it moves and there's heat. And in the practice, you actually disperse the qi towards the universe, and then you collect good qi deep into your body. How do I incorporate the two? Thank you.
You cannot really incorporate the two. what you can do is, when you want to do qigong, you do qigong. When you do, if you want to do a Buddhist meditation, you look at things in terms of anicca, dukkha, anatta, and you don't try to, direct the qi to certain areas. Because in qigong, you want to direct the qi, right? So there's atta that you're controlling it. So when you want to practice vipassana meditation, you step back and see how things work without trying to control. Okay?